Hey, what's up guys? OJ here. Welcome to my basic beginner's guide for Fire Emblem Engage. We're going to be going over some of the simple things with this game that a lot of you guys have asked me during my live streams and also that I've seen over the internet. So the first thing that I'm going to say is battle preparation. These are things that you need to make sure that you know heading into battle because you're going to get smoked, especially if you're playing on the hard difficulty or if you're playing on classic and you can lose some units. So the first thing that I'm going to say is that we're going to hop in to our menu here by pressing the plus button, and we're going to go into our emblem rings. This is a menu that you should be very familiar with and know exactly what each of this stuff means. Now, luckily, there's a way that we can do that very easily. If you just press the X button, from there, you can see exactly what each thing is. So I would say take some time to really go through and understand all of your stats because all of this stuff is very important, especially when it comes to build and SP skill points, physical attack, hit, avoidance, critical, and all of these basic stats as well. These things are going to determine your success on the battlefield. So make sure that you know what each one of these does by pressing X in the emblem rings menu and going through and looking exactly what all of this stuff does. Now, this is an earlier point where I am in the game because I didn't want it to get too far and have any type of spoilers for you guys, but also make sure that you know your skills too. I think a lot of you guys just kind of float by not knowing your skills and what they do, and we're going to get into some of the other stuff that you can do with skills too, but it's very important that you know the skills that you have when you're synced up with another emblem character and your normal skills when you're not. That creates some confusion, and of course making sure that you don't stack them, have the same skills in your emblem character then also with the regular one. So make sure that you're very familiar. That's the first thing with the beginner's guide. Very familiar with the physical attack, hit, critical, and the basic stats and what they do, especially speed, dexterity, your defense. These are all things that are very, very, very critical. Now, next up, we're going to move over to another thing here in the menu, your inventory. Now, one thing with getting ready for Fire Emblem Engage, like when you go out to battles, you've got to make sure that each of your characters has the right amounts of items so you can get through it. Now, you can provide a huge boost to your characters by simply giving them more versatile weapons. And what I mean by that, for example, Vander, right? He is a little bit of a tank and he also has some offensive power as well. But you want to make sure that if you look at his items, that he can attack in multiple different types of ways. And what I mean by that is this hand axe. So if you look right here, RNG, that means range. Now, what you can do, if you have a hand axe, you can actually attack from one space further than before. I see too many people playing the game where all they have is an iron axe or a compact axe, and you can only attack from one range. Whereas if you have a hand axe as well, you can attack from farther away. So it gives you more versatility on the battlefield. So one thing that I like to do is I like to make sure that everybody has the versatility of at least having an extra range in their attacks. So I make sure that everybody has something to where you can attack. So you're not constantly getting hit and not counterattacking when somebody's out there, or it gives you more abilities to be able to defeat an enemy. So one thing is to make sure that you have the right equipment before battle. And I like to do it right here in the thumbnail, or you can do it right before the battle screen. That's fine as well. So make sure that you manage your items, make sure everything is good there. And of course that you carry enough healing supplies or carry anything else that you want to carry. Make sure that all of your characters have the best weapons available and carry multiple different type of weapons. The cool thing about this game is that you're going to be able to carry weapons that don't degrade in quality. So you don't have to worry about it having only X amount of hits before it's done. So I'd also say make sure that you're ready and optimized for battle. You don't have to use the optimized equipment, but just make sure that you're ready for it because man, you can head into battle and you can have problems. Another thing that I also want to talk about here is the reference page, because this is where you can just kind of go to quickly see the bonds and relationship stuff that you can talk about with all of your characters, so you can watch the support skills. And this is very important for your actual emblem characters because that's how you can upgrade when it comes to the bond levels, which we'll get into as well. So you can do that right here, in addition to seeing all the different references with anything else that you're looking for in terms of speed, stats, skills that they have. It's all right here with each emblem ring. So pretty easy way to get to it as well. Obviously, you can review all the materials. You have your Somniel map. But I wanted to go over to another thing before we get into more of the combat stuff in the game. I wanted to get into another thing that kind of gets people confused, and that is the bond rings. I've seen people say, exactly how does this work? What is going on here? What do they do? I don't want to remove my one ring and, you know, have it for something else. So let's go and let's get into this, because this was confusing for me at first with this bond ring stuff. So here you can create bond rings, and basically what bond rings are, if you look at each character, they all have characters from their game, so they're allies, and all of those allies, while they might not be in this game, you can get them as a ring that gives you buffs to your other characters or anybody that wants to use them, right? So if you look here, you have 23 out of 40, but you can look at the total created, so you can see all the different characters that were Marth's allies in the original games, which is pretty cool. And you have their artwork and everything. And what you can do here is that you can create 1 or you can create 10. Now it uses bond fragments. Obviously you get these by simply going on the maps. You'll see it there. You'll get bond fragments by doing a variety of different things. Your allies will give them to you after battles. There's various different ways to get bond fragments. There's the donations page over there in the main area and everything. So there's just various different ways, talking to your pet there, you know, in the grotto, like all sorts of stuff to get it. But what we're going to do is that we're just going to create 1. We're going to create 1 just so we can kind of get an idea of what's going on here. So once you create this bond ring, you see this nice little animation. Okay, I got Navarre, Dex +1. So then what you can do from there with the bond ring is that you can actually meld them together. And when you meld them together, you can create a better bond ring. And as you guys can see from this main thing here, if you go to create bond rings, there's 4 in terms of like the lowest to the highest in power of each bond ring. So you have to keep on melding and keep on joining them together to get the strongest ring available. That's what you want to do. So you can even do that with any other character, and it will create these other bond rings with the characters from the game. Now, what we're going to do here, because I think this is where the biggest like trip up is, and goodness gracious, look at that art. Look at that sweet early 90s art. I love it. I really love this right here. I wasn't sure how you feel about the bond rings and stuff like that, but the more that you do them, the more that you're like, oh wow, this is pretty cool. It's a pretty cool little system they've put in here. So you can use 100 fragments, or you can just do 10 at a time in order to get it. But now we're going to actually apply what these bond rings do, and maybe do a little bit of the melding of bond rings. So for example, if I wanted to make a stronger Sheeta to like a B level one, we can do that. We've got 2 of the C ones because it'll repeat when you do the multiple bond rings. Like you can just keep on going, you'll have repeats, and then when you get those repeats, you can meld those together to create something stronger to equip on your characters. So there you go. Now you have plus speed 1 plus luck 1 as well. So pretty cool, right? You can keep on doing that, but remember, when you do that, it does use more bond fragments. So you have to have the right amount of bond fragments. So for example, if I wanted to create an A level Sheeta ring, I'd need 10,000 ones, but it also gives you skills as well. So it gets more and more in depth. And of course, you can pick from any of the different bond rings from each character that you have, emblem character that you have. Now let's actually apply this. Let's actually apply what's going on here, okay? Inherit skills is something that we can talk about a little bit later. Once you've got a certain level of bond, you can pick skills from your emblem characters, but we'll talk about that probably in a separate video. Now, let's talk about this here. We're going to go in and go into our menu here. All right, this menu plus that. And we're going to go in and go into the emblem rings. Now, once you get into the emblem rings, this is where I was confused almost completely. I was like, okay, I'm making all these rings, but what do I do with them? Well, what you have to do is you have to go into here, and then from here, you can equip the rings. So I see a lot of people who don't have rings equipped for a lot of their other characters. So you from here, that's where you equip the rings. You can equip them here and get stat buffs. Now, you might not have the emblem ring where they pop out and do all the cool stuff that you see with the main emblem rings like Micaiah or like Ike or like, you know, Marth and all that, but you can still get some nice stat buffs and of course even skills from these emblem rings, and they get stronger and stronger. As you can see right here, I have Vander with a very nice A-level Navarre ring. You know, I get a really good stat buff to hit, avoid, critical, dodge, speed, dex, luck, all that there. So I've mended it enough. And you can see what character right here is on each one of the rings. And all of those rings are available to you for you to use freely. You can pick between each one by pressing left or right. All of Celica's, all of Sigurd's. I mean, it's pretty cool. And of course, as you guys know, there's plenty of emblem characters and their allies are all there for you to meld the rings and equip them as you see fit. So it's pretty cool what they've done here. I really like this bond ring system. I know it seems a bit complex at first, but trust me, just start melding the rings, just start buying them, and then just start going to the equipped and seeing the stat buffs, and then you'll start understanding it very quickly after that, because I was confused at first because I don't think they explained it that great. Now, we've got all of that out of the way. We talked about preparation. We talked about the bond rings. We talked about equipping them, but now it's time to actually go out there and apply this to the battles, which is obviously going to be really fun. We can apply all this and we can go over some battle strategies and things that you should be doing in the game. All right, so we do have this that we're gonna head over to. We got an open skirmish, which is one of my favorite things about this game, the fact that you can grind and there's always skirmishes for you to practice. You don't have to worry about anything else when it comes to the stuff that's interfering with you and just playing the game. So we're gonna go ahead and begin the skirmish. I do have the online connected, and if you're connected online, you will be able to get extra items and even bond fragments from your friends or other people that have died on the same map where people have fallen. You can get items, you can get different things. So it's pretty cool. If you're connected to the internet, it actually gives you a nice little benefit to do so. All right, so here we are on the battle preparation screen, guys. This is going to be one of the most important things when it comes to getting out of the beginner phase and dominating your enemies on here. So one thing that I always like to do from the very beginning is go to swap places and just look. Count or just see how many types of enemies there are so you know what to do. Look at this. You've got a bunch of sword fighters. You've got a rider here, sword fighter, sword fighter. So obviously lances have to be a part. People who have the javelin or the lance so they can fight against those enemies are going to have to be a part of your attack. You even have stuff like heavy armor. So you're going to need to make sure that you have either magic to combat that, or you have armor breakers and things to get past that with your weaponry. So those are all very important things to consider. So I'm looking at my Vander up here and I'm like, okay, maybe I can take him, or maybe I can switch it out and get somebody there that'd be able to take that armored unit. So one thing that I like to do is make sure that I go through my inventory and I have the right type of weapons and management with the stuff. So I have a torch here. We're gonna go ahead and swap it to see what we can do to deal with maybe some of that armor. So as you can see right here, we have a hammer that also deals with thick, heavy armor. So we're gonna go ahead and put Vander, give him this hammer right here. We also have a pole axe too, which we can deal with some stuff when it comes to other types of enemies. And you can see Armor Slayer. So make sure that you have certain weapons to deal with the different enemies on there, or you're just gonna be hitting these guys over and over. They're gonna knock you out. So let's go and take a look here. Also on unit selection, I want to make sure that I have a little bit more magic here. I think that magic would be good, but there's also a flyer too as well, but there's only one. So I'm not sure if I need a bow and arrow. So I'm going to go ahead and take that off. I'm going to go ahead and add my girl right here, Yunaka. If you apply a lot of these tactics to your battles, you'll have no problem destroying the competition in Fire Emblem Engage. Make sure you check out the link in the description where I have more videos coming on Fire Emblem Engage, in addition to other stuff as well, discussing the sales of the game, the review scores, and so much more. But more guides are coming, more content is coming as well. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you for the next video. Peace.